Another thing on your canopy, just while you're doing it, you know we've got both our DV panels open on the left.
Yes. Yeah.
What I'd do is I'd shut those, and if it's hot, just set your little window to get your air scoop like that.
Cool.
So, brilliant. So if you want to indicate to him we're ready to go.
Okay. Yeah.
So do you want to hook on? You can do the...
I don't know how to do the hook on.
So, oh sorry, if you follow through with me, grab the release, so we'll pull that.
Yeah.
And then we'll let it go when he says close. Right, 1, 2, 3. There you go. So we're just checking that now.
Oh, right. Okay.
Open, so... There you go. Okay, I have control.
Yeah, control.
If you follow through on the controls and you feel what I'm doing... Now I'm keeping my hand on the release, so if a wing goes down, if it touches the ground, so I've got the stick over, you know, like you were doing, and I can't keep the wing up and it touches the ground, I'm just going to release, because if I don't, it's going to cartwheel us off to the left or right.
Sure.
So that's the key thing with all these launches, keep your hand on the release. Just starting with the stick, sort of back a little bit to get the nose wheel off the ground. And then as the nose wheel comes off, I'll just release that back pressure and keep it running along. I'm just telling you this for... Okay, there we go. So I'm going to need big control inputs to begin with because we're going quite slow. Just keeping the glider flying level with the ground, about the same height as the fin of the tug. And as he accelerates, there he goes, he's off the ground now. Just keeping him at that same point on the canopy, using coordinated controls to keep him there. So we probably couldn't land ahead now, so now I'm looking out to look at our right hand side. We've got a big flat field out there, it's probably got crop in it, so it's not ideal, but we could go wings level into that.
Sure.
Now at this point we've got some fields out about our 11 o'clock. Go. And at this point now, I think we'd probably just be able to do an abbreviated circuit back into the airfield. Sort of control inputs I'm making, and it's coordinated. So if there's right rudder, if there's right stick, there's right rudder. I'm aiming to keep my wings at the same angle of bank as his. So like we're turning now, keeping my wings. I'm not trying to turn inside him. I'm just trying to follow him.
Sure.
And when his wings go level, I'll get my wings level. I mean, this is quite advanced stuff for you at the moment, but just talking you through it so you know. So his wings level, so my wings level.
So we're going to 4,000 feet, is that?
I think if we can get 4,
sure.
That should give us a good spell of time for you to get some time on the controls and just see if we can nail that coordination a bit more. And if we can get some soaring, even better. Up into this gap, if you're following through, just have a little go at the controls. I mean, I don't want to sort of overload you, but it's just pointless me sort of sitting here sort of doing all the flying. Just see how you get on.
Okay.
So I'll say, you know, you have control. I'll wait till his wings are level. Sure. It's definitely not fair to hand it to you in a turn. And what you'll find is, because we're flying faster, you'll need smaller control inputs. You can feel the ones I've been making.
Yeah.
I'm just monitoring what he's doing all the time. So I'm just aiming, if he starts to move, like now, I'll show you now, if he starts to move up the canopy like that, what I need to do is raise the nose of the glide just gradually, very gradually, just getting back to that point that it started from, which is there. So keeping the wings level as well. Just give it a little go, see how you get on for interest. So you have control.
I have control.
Just lower the nose a bit and then just keep the wings level. If the wings aren't level, we'll move out one side to the other.
You have control.
I have control, yeah. I'll tell you what, it was a little bit of fun. It might be a step too far.
I think a bit too far, given the weather conditions. Yeah, it's a little windy.
But it's like riding a bike. At first it feels impossible to do, and then it'll just click and you can do it. The climb base is going up nicely, so we should give a chance of some soaring. But I think we take it a bit higher, gives you a bit of time to just settle down, practice some turns, and then when we drop down into the soarable conditions, you know, you can have a go at it then. You know, we're actually in lift.
Okay.
So I can extend the flight.
So we're going into the clouds right now.
Yeah, we're climbing above the sort of condensation level, so.
Okay. That's just incredible to see. That's just amazing.
Well, we'll definitely take it to 4 then and give you a bit of a nice view. What I'd say is as well, when we're down, if we're flying straight and level anywhere, try and use ground features as a reference point rather than just sort of wildly zigzagging across the sky.
Sure. Pick
a feature in the reasonable far distance that you can use as a reference point to you know, keep the nose fixed on it. It might be the Reekin, which is out in front of us at the moment. Whatever it might be a white building, whatever it is, just use that as a reference point to sort of aid your flying, if you like, you know, so you know that you're flying straight towards a feature, and that will reinforce that the inputs you're making, whether they're correct or you need to do more or less of them.
I think when I've been doing the turns, I think that's where I run into a bit of an issue where I don't know if I've done a full 90 degrees in a turn.
Yeah.
Because I've lost my point of reference on the ground.
Well, a good one is on our nose at the moment. We've got the Reekin, so we'll use that as to the hill, just about 1 o'clock. Yeah. So we've got another 100 feet to climb. So what I'm going to do, hands back on the release now.
Okay.
So when I come off, I'll pull the release. You'll hear a clunk. You'll see a ripple go down the rope. Then I'll slow the glider up, and that gives us separation from the rings. So we don't want those sort of flapping around by the canopy or the glider.
Yeah.
And then he'll turn out to the right, all being well, and I'll turn out to the left. But we'll keep him visual all the time. So here we go. We're going to slow the glider up. Yeah, he descends down. We've got separation from each other now.
Cool.
There we go. Right, 4,000 feet.
Nice.
We know where we are. I'll put the Reekin on the nose. So you have control.
I have control.
Just get yourself settled down. Just feel comfortable. Just fly wings level for a little bit.
Okay.
We've got that attitude. Gives us just under 50 knots, which is brilliant. So you see how we've wandered off slightly to the left?
Yeah.
Just very small correction to bring the Reekin, that hill there, back onto the nose. Really, if it's a big correction needed, then you use larger angles of bank. If it's a smaller correction, just smaller angles of bank.
And this is without the rudder?
Say again?
This is without the rudder.
No, use the rudder as well now.
Okay,
I think we'll bring...
so if I want to do slight right.
That's it. So what you needed there was just a little bit more...
Slightly overcooked it.
Okay, so let's try a turn round to the right.
Okay.
So we'll go round to the right, so we've got to look out first. Make sure it's all clear. Look back over the nose.
Yep.
Stick and rudder together.
So
if you can straighten up for me now. There you go.
I think that was much better compared to last time.
So
I can actually feel what I'm doing.
The secret is, you've got all these things, you've got like the yaw string, don't fixate on that, use that as a guide as part of your scan that you're looking, so if the string's not in the middle, you need to apply some kind of rudder.
Sure.
And it points to the foot you need to press. So if you imagine it, if I just show you, I've got control, but you keep your hands and feet on.
Yeah.
See, if the nose is out that way, the yaw string's out to the right, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's saying to me, I need to press the left rudder to bring it back into the middle. Likewise, if it's out that way,
yeah,
I need to press the right rudder to bring it back into the middle.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
There you go. So you have control again.
I have control.
And what we might find under here is that coordination and speed control gets a little bit more awkward because we're going to come into a bit of lift, or in well. But what you've got to do is the conditions and the thermals and the lift and the turbulence are going to try and make the glider turn and move it up and down. So you've got to just make inputs to overcome those to keep it on the course that you want, flying towards the heading that you want.
Okay.
So if you want to put it into a turn round to the right now.
So turn to the right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what that yaw string's telling you is you need a bit more right rudder then. And keep that turn coming round to the right.
Okay.
A bit more right rudder was needed then. Remember about relaxing those legs, you know, if it feels... Go. If you straighten up at that for a second for me, you'll be tired of me nagging you about the rudder by the time we get down.
You crack on. That's cool. I'm learning. So yeah.
So in a minute, I'm going to ask you to do. We'll go around to the left on this one. When I say, so you can start that left-hand turn now. So good look out first.
There's an aircraft to my left.
Yeah, is it clear?
It's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's under the wing for me, but good spot.
Left turn. So
come over to left. A bit more left rudder needed. Yeah, I've got it. So if I can just demonstrate something to you.
Sure.
So if I have control, you keep your hands and feet on the controls.
Yep, you have control.
So if I go into a right-hand turn now, we'll have a good look out. But I'm going to put quite a lot of right rudder in. Can you feel
yes.
You feel the movement I'm making?
Yeah, I think a lot more in.
But once I'm in that turn, I'm taking some of that right rudder off. So I'm using little bits.
Sure.
And it varies. It's like driving a car on a hilly road. Sometimes you need a bit more accelerator to keep the speed the same. Sometimes you need less. So I will be making small corrections all the time.
Sure. Okay.
So while it's in the turn, we're actually climbing now. So you have control now, and keep it at this angle of bank.
Have control.
With the string in the middle, so you've got it. And keeping that scan, that good lookout going, which the lookout isn't just to spot aircraft, although that's the primary reason. It's also, you can figure out what the aircraft's doing better in relation to the horizon than you can by fixating on the ASI or the yaw string.
Sure. I'm just trying to keep the same sort of attitude.
Yeah, doing really nicely, and more importantly, we're climbing. So we'll make a soaring pilot of you yet.
This will be the first soar that I have.
Yeah, we're climbing 100 feet a minute, so. So what you're aiming to do is keep that nose moving just smoothly, just underneath the horizon, but smoothly around the horizon as well. So is it? You can see, can't you? By
Yeah.
looking out, you know if the nose starts to drop, and the speed will obviously increase. So. But we're still climbing. Well, you've been flying. We've gained 100 feet, so.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Cool.
So
while we're here and climbing, we'll just stick with this. Well, the lift's dropped off a little bit now, but we're not descending as quick as we could be, so let's stick with it. Feel that slight humpback bridge feeling then?
Yeah.
That's the core of the lift. So it kind of, the lift where we've just flown through was stronger than where we are now. So it kind of lifts you up, and then as the lift dies off quite quickly, you get that slight dropping feeling. Which later on, when you're thermaling, that's quite an important sign about where the best lift is.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Just having a look around, see if we can find somewhere where we can find a bit more lift that we can somewhere. Right, remember where the reeking was, which is coming round onto our right-hand wingtip now. Just come round onto nose. If you straighten up towards that.
Yeah.
So more left rudder. See how the yaw string's pointing to the left? Your left foot, sorry.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. So we'll fly on this heading for a little bit. When we come into some lift, I'll ask you to do a turn to the left for me then.
Okay.
So if you want to do that turn to the left now, look out, that's it. Remember how much rudder you need, and as the bank comes on, you take the left rudder off then, or take as much, you know, you don't need quite as much once you're established in the turn. Just had a aircraft pass below us there. Have you got a preference to which way you turn? Do you think you prefer left or right? Every pilot's got one.
I don't. I honestly don't have one. I think I'm a bit more flexible on my neck when I'm turning left than I am on my right. I think it's that because I don't tend to move my body as much.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think left seems smoother. I think.
You're doing really nicely, yeah. Just keeping us. It's a lot easier once the glide is in the turn to actually keep, you know, that coordinated controls because you only make smaller inputs.
Yeah.
It's when it comes out, that's when it's, you know, so when you're going wings level or going into the turn, that's what you need to just concentrate on the amount of rudder you're putting in. What I've seen so far is you need bigger inputs of rudder.
When I do the initial turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Yeah.
But not losing out too much here, so.
Roger.
So we've got the reference point of the reeking just
yeah.
going round on the nose now. And the airfield is just off our left hand wingtip. You can see that down there. Try and keep that nose moving smoothly around the horizon. Because the thermal's slightly turbulent,
Yeah.
it will push the nose up, it will push it down. You'll need to make varying corrections on the stick in terms of pitch, so forwards or backwards, depending on what the air's trying to do to us to keep it where we want it, which is where it is now.
Winch, pass the message. Winch, pass your message.
Next time round, we'll come out the turn and we'll head down that way where the nose is pointing now. So we'll go round another turn.
Yeah.
And let's see if I can see anything better. Actually, stop with that. See the reeking coming round on the nose?
Yes.
Well, if you put that on the nose, and we'll go wings
Pass
level.
your message.
Okay.
Remember, big amounts of rudder to come out.
Oops.
So it's pointing to your right foot, isn't it, that yaw string?
Yeah.
Side the door, side the winch, pass your message.
Tell you what, I'll just demonstrate something to you.
It's pointing left. I need to do left rudder, right? The yaw string.
So you need right rudder to bring that yaw string into the middle.
Side with winch, receiving you.
And then take it off now. There you go.
Gotcha.
If I just have control, I'll show you something. So
Sure.
we're at an angle of bank, about that much. So the reeking was coming round. Don't wait until it's on the nose, because if I wait until it's on the nose, it'll be like, all right, I've got to go wings level, and I'm out the other side of it.
Yeah.
So just preempt it. So just start taking the bank off a little bit
Okay.
before you get there, and then
Sure.
it's there. So there you go. You have
Repeat
control.
that, is it single
Control.
steer or twin steer?
We'll just fly in this heading for a little bit.
Single steer or cable.
So don't worry too much if it's not exactly on the nose, just within a few degrees. It's just a reference point, just to aid you, so you're
Sure.
You want to put a turn into the right now for me. A bit more rudder, some bigger amounts of rudder to keep that yaw string in the middle. Right, now I'm going to challenge you. I want you to come out of this turn and go straight into a left-hand turn for me.
Okay.
Big amounts of rudder you're going to need. Remember to take that back pressure off the stick as well, so the nose doesn't go above the horizon. I'm going to work you.
Okay.
Give me
That's
shutting.
cool. That's cool.
And then we'll come out on the use the view straight up now. There you go. Fantastic.
Okay, that's quite hard.
So the one thing you did there, it was almost like you got the amount of rudder virtually correct. But you notice as the wings came level, even though we're going straight into another turn, the nose came up because that back pressure on the stick that you'd had in the turn,
Yeah, I should have taken it
you
off.
needed to take it off. But don't worry, you're doing really well.
Okay.
Big red light, watch left down with 2 balls.
Isn't Wrekin the other place where the other gliding school is?
There's one at Cosford, which is out
Yeah.
to our,
Yeah.
can't quite see it from here, but there's a military one there. So I tell you what, if I have control for a second,
Yeah, control.
I'll just give you a little rest. I'm just going to see if I can find us into this lift here, if there's any. Just
Big red light, watch final.
follow through on the controls, and you can feel what I'm doing.
Sure.
I'm just actually searching around so we can find where the
Extra 5 clearly.
core of the lift is here. I've just got a very slight left-hand turn on. Hopefully I'll feel a bit of a surge in a minute. So, feel that little bit there? There we go. So I'm going to focus around there. If you look at the vario, we've got 3 knots or just over 2 knots now. That should make us climb. So I'll just have a little turn here.
Sure.
Just you could just relax for a few
Okay.
seconds. You're going to go straight back into it. I'm going to work you like a dog. Key thing is, look how the nose is just moving smoothly, just under the horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah, your string's in the middle. And try not to fixate on any one thing in particular. Don't fixate on the ASI, don't fixate on the yaw string. Scan round from wingtip to wingtip, and as you do, just glance at the instruments. So you're just using those as part of your scan to tell you what.
I mean, what I'm trying to do is not use the instruments as much, compared to last time. I think I was focusing too much on the instruments to get myself sorted out rather than the attitude.
There you go, we're climbing quite nicely. So just use this angled bank as a reference point and aim to keep it at about that. So you've got control again.
I have control.
How do you feel at the moment? Do you feel that you're getting...
I think I'm a bit better on the turns. When I'm in the turn now, I think I'm a bit more comfortable with what's going on, as I'm paying a bit more attention to the outside.
Yeah.
And just keeping it just below that horizon as much as I can. I think before, when I found that difficult and the nose kept coming up too much. So this really helps.
So I'll tell you what, if you want to start to straighten up now for me, so remember, good amount of left rudder, big amount. Fantastic, look at the yaw string.
Yeah, cool.
So just remember how much rudder you had to put in then to come out of the turn. Yeah, it's more than you were putting in to begin with.
Yeah.
So we'll just fly on this heading for now, so keep us wings level going in this direction. All I'm trying to do is just talk us in under this other cloud where we can get a bit more, so hopefully there might be a little bit more lift. So we can just bring us round to the right a little bit more.
So clear right.
Keep that turn coming round. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make you go straight into a left-hand turn. So out of this one,
yeah.
Keep that yaw string in the middle, into straight to the left-hand turn. One. Lots of left rudder, lots of left rudder. You forgot that back pressure. Now you need the back pressure again. So now I'm going to get you to come out of the turn in a minute.
Okay.
So right rudder, you need to bring that string back into the middle. Yeah, keep the left turn on.
Left turn on.
Yeah. Do straighten up now. So go wings level. That was nicely done as a roll reversal. That was
okay.
So,
I'm not as scared as I was last time. So that's a good sign. Okay. No, this is good. This is really, really good.
Okay, if you can bring us round to the left now, so nice
okay.
turn round to the left. You'll be tired of me nagging you. You'll be hearing me in your sleep. And if you want to go, well, keep that turn coming round. So, you start to straighten up now for me. Just pick a feature somewhere in the horizon, yeah, whatever it might be, feel.
Yeah, okay.
And then just use that as your reference point, what you're flying towards. Let's say at your stage, don't worry if it's weaving around a little bit,
yeah.
But just use that as that's a good guide.
Sure. So I'm aiming towards those buildings up there.
Okay. And when I say, you can, I want you to go into a right-hand turn for me. So you start to bring that in now.
So clear it right.
That was, I didn't quite see that turn, but I just looked, your string smack down the middle, really nice.
Cool.
So, right, straight into a left-hand turn. Think how much rudder you need. Spot on. Brilliant. That's absolutely excellent. A bit more back pressure on that stick, isn't it?
All out.
And you've got a little bit too much left rudder on at the moment.
Okay.
See how it's, take a little bit off,
Back in the movement.
or just a dab of right rudder, it'll bring it back in.
Got it.
We've got a glider thermaling up there to our left, so what we'll do, we'll go and join him. If you go wings level now. Remember that look out to the right, you know, if you're coming out of the turn, look outside of the turn, make sure nobody's sort of coming in.
That's just cool.
So if I have control a second,
Do you have control?
see if I can find where the lift is and give us a slightly longer flight then. I'll give you a rest as well because it's
Cool. That's just incredible to see.
he's got a reasonable bit of lift here, so so the lift is better on this side of the turn. So what I might do is next time round, I just remembered where that was. So next time round, I'm just going to open up the turn a little bit. So I'm just going to take some of the bank off, or possibly just go wings level for a few seconds.
Sure.
And then go back into the left-hand turn, which hopefully bring us more into where the lift is. Might not. I'm not an expert at this. So somewhere about there, I'm going to just do that and then straight back into it. And we'll just wait to see what that's done.
All out.
All the time you can see the yaw string moving around on me. It's just about monitoring it and don't fixate on, you know, keeping it absolutely not letting it move. It will vary a little bit. Just use it as part of your scan to be aware of what you need to be doing. Yeah.
I think in the past when I've got myself into a bit of a panic where I think I've overcooked the turn and I've come into difficulty trying to correct it.
Yeah.
But this time around, when I've done that and I know that the nose has gone down too much or back, I've felt a lot more comfortable. That yeah, I'm not going to drop, you know.
And use angle of banks that you can cope with. Like up to sort of this angle of bank for where you are and what you're doing is probably enough. If you try and stick it on a wingtip and do 90 degrees of bank, you'll be chasing yourself all the time. So just, you know, just take it steady, do angles of bank that you can cope with, the pitch control and the yaw control, and as you get used to it, you'll be able to use gradually steeper angles of bank. So
Cool.
climbing nicely here, so looks like he's going to clear off, but we'll stop here. So I mean, now he's leaving us, do you want to have a go?
Yeah, I have
So
control.
you have control, that angle of bank. So we've gained a little bit of height there, so that's good. See how the bank's steepened and the nose drops away, so just try and keep that under control so it's more manageable for you, that's the thing. And it might be that the thermal has caused that to us. It'll try and steepen the bank, sometimes it tries to take it off, but what I was saying about you've got to make the corrections to overcome what the air is trying to do to it.
Yeah.
There's the core of the thermal. And the best thing is we'll keep an eye out for where he's gone. That's another reason for, so he can find our next thermal for us, and then we'll just go over, we'll leech onto him and go over and join him when this one dies.
Cool. So he's at 12 o'clock right now.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on him, see how he's doing.
There's certainly some lift there. Jeez.
Yeah, you see the Vario's come into 2 knots, trying to get above 2 knots, so good climbing, you're doing really nicely. Hopefully you'll be sick to death and turning after this point. If we've done nothing but make you sick of turning, then that's a success in my book.
That's the biggest problem I've had so far. So make a good job of this. I'm happy, and you're doing well.
If you did nothing else on the next 3-4 flights, but just do what we've done on this one, you'd just progress so much quicker. Then you just find the fact, like flying the circuit is about flying, you know, flying and turning. In fact, it's all about flying, you know, straight and level and turning, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think about it. So if you concentrate on sort of being able to do this comfortably, then the rest of it will come a lot quicker. It's still climbing, so. I know we spoke about the trim on the ground, and I know I've been altering the trim. Just remember, if we come out of if we're in a turn now, because we're flying a bit slower, the trim will probably be further back. Okay. As we go wings level, to say go to the next thermal,
sure.
Go wings level, and just retrim the glider, so the glider will need to be a little bit more nose down. So you just move that trim forward a little bit, and that will make it easier.
It's almost just about neutral.
Well, I tell you what, I'll show you something. Let's use the Reeking as a reference point.
Okay.
Just over, slightly to our left. We'll fly in that direction. Now, I want you to fly the glider, wings level, with the nose just below the horizon. Just a little bit more nose down than that. Right, now hold that attitude now. Sure. Now I'm going to alter the trim, and I want you to tell me what input you're having to make to keep that attitude. So, should find.
I might have to go down a little bit. Oh, no, pull back a little bit, I think. So the controls have gone slightly forward. So
what I'm hoping is you'll be able to say you need to pull the stick back to keep that attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Okay, so if I now alter the trim the other way, I'm moving the trim back. So now what you should do is have to hold the stick forward to hold that attitude.
Yes.
So the glider's out of trim. So now you would just adjust that trim until there's no load on the stick and you can hold that attitude. And just try it a few times. You know it's not an exact science, but you can get it somewhere near. Then the test is take your hands off and put your hands up, and you'll feel whether it's roughly about there. The turbulence will affect it a little bit, but
I think that's about right.
If you take your hands off, what's it going to do? It's going to turn to the left a little bit, but so you're not a million miles away. So yeah, brilliant. But always fly it in trim. So if you've got a load on the stick, you're having to push it forwards or pull it back.
Sure.
Just adjust the trim to take that load off.
I see. Right. Okay.
Right. You want to spin us round to the left now.
Let's go left.
That bigger amount of left rudder needed there. So I think where we can go to try and get a bit of lift. I'll tell you what, probably the best the heading we were on. So got the Reeking on the nose, just coming round, so if you fly towards that, so remember a big amount of right rudder to bring it out.
Okay.
Just lower the nose a little bit more and we'll fly a little bit faster. And then you'll have to retrim the glider as well. So if you glance at the ASI, you'll see that attitude is giving us about 50 knots. So that's the attitude we'll aim to hold it at.
Okay.
Ventus, normal table.
We're in a nice big gap here now, which means that there might not be any thermals around. If I feel one and it's quite small and tight, I'll might just grab it off you just to see if we can extend the flight a bit, but if not, we'll drift back where we've had. Probably had about 45-50 minutes.
That's just awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so I tell you what, if you bring us round to the left now. So what I want you to do now is when I say, so in about 5, you go wings level now. Now what I want you to do is trim the glider out for 50 knots. So
Trim the glider 50 knots.
so just
okay.
lower the nose about there, isn't it? And just trim the glider out. And just glance at the ASI to see what that gives you.
So that's plus, no, -4 knots.
Yeah. Remember to hold that attitude. Now don't fixate on the ASI because you'll
Yeah.
chase it otherwise. So just fly by attitude. So see how we're now down to just above 40 knots. Just need to lower the nose a little bit more. And retrim as well, that's the key to it. Oh, what's going on there?
A bit of lift.
So see how the nose is a bit high on the horizon. We're not, you know, we want 50 knots, but we're doing just over 40, aren't we? So
Okay. So we're about 1,000 feet now.
yeah. So what I'm going to do is talk you around the circuit now. You just fly the headings I give you. So the next
Sure.
turn will be a right-hand turn. You look out to your right. See those white industrial buildings?
Yeah.
If you can put those on the nose for me.
Okay.
Do you want to do that now? Don't worry too much, we're not talking about the circuit as such, but preempt that turn, so take that bank off. Just come out to the left a little bit, so a small angle of bank, just to put the... I'm going to try and hold 50 knots now, so, and wings level at that. Okay, if I take control, you follow through.
Follow through, yeah.
So I have control. So I'm just retrimming the glider. I'll probably want what the wind's doing. Probably try and use 55 knots. So see how the nose is much lower now.
Yeah.
So we're keeping a really good lookout now because we're in the circuit. Make sure there's nobody else around. Key thing here, just if you remember one thing in terms of the circuit of this flight, look at the angle to the landing area. That's the key thing. We want it about that sort of angle. If it's more than that, if we're looking down on it, the angle's a lot steeper, then we're too high. If the angle was a lot flatter, it would be too low. So where we are is about right. So that's the key thing with the circuit side of it. As that angle starts to flatten, I know that actually now I need to be turning to line us up. So now I'm just waiting until I'm see the T mark there just out in front of us.
Yeah.
Just wait until I'm at a point where I feel like I can open the air brakes on that. So I open the air brakes about now. What I'm hoping to do is keep that T mark in the same position on the canopy. And I'll have to make some adjustments on the air brakes to do that. Holding 55 knots, so we're just scanning the instruments as we were before.
Sure.
I think that I need a little bit more air brake to just keep that same point on the canopy. And we're down.
Cool.
There you go.
Thank you very much for that. That was awesome.
No, you did really, really well.
That was so much better than last time.
I mean, conditions as well. We had the chance to do some soaring, so yeah. So don't worry about the DV panel. I think the key things from that are rudder amounts. So how much rudder you're putting on.
So a lot more into the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And occasionally you were just having like sort of momentary lapses where, like just as we were coming downwind, we were coming back to the airfield,
Mm-hmm.
and if you remember, the yaw string suddenly went out to the. I don't know if you'd put rudder in or you'd got yourself confused, but we were out of balance. The yaw string was out to one side.
Yeah.
So just be aware of what it's doing. Say, don't fixate on it.
Yeah.
But it's the indication that you're flying the glider accurately. So as you're looking around, looking for aircraft and other gliders thermaling, just as part of the scan, look at that yaw string. See do I need to make a correction? No, it's fine.
So if it's going whichever direction it's going in, I've got to apply the opposite rudder.
Yeah, I'll show you if you
Yeah.
sit in there. So if it's out that way,
Yeah.
what you're going to have to, which foot are you going to press to bring that in?
Right, rudder to bring it back in.
So if you think of it, it's pointing by that fixed point to that foot.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And some of those roll reversals, you had a couple of really nice ones there. Because that's a real test of the controls. You've got to put lots of rudder in. You need to make big stick movements to get the bank off and then go into the opposite way. But then you also need to remember, as the wings come level, if you don't take that back pressure off, the nose is going to go up, and it did that a couple of times.
Yeah, it did. That I kept forgetting because I was so focused on keeping the horizon level, just a bit below it, and I thought, okay, I managed to do that, but I focused too much on that, and then totally forgot about the back pressure.
For where you are at the moment, there's some things introduced. That's why I think it's important that you don't get too much introduced. But if you suddenly, I think what you've got at the moment in terms of the coordinating and the stick and the rudder trim as well, flying headings. When I say headings, just